going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the AMS podcast. I'm your host, David Michael Soto, discussing things about films, past, present, and future. And today's episode is going to be about Pixar movies. And I would say Pixar has been around since, or is a generational type studio because the very first Pixar movie was released back in 1995. And of all things, Um, it was the first Toy Story, and I believe I was 3 years old at the time, and showing my age. So you do the math. And since then, they have done about. I'll discuss the most recent film that's come out, Elemental. They've done over 26 films, and you're gonna just discuss a little bit of the history of Pixar, what draws people into this storytelling, and overall just how it's become so popular. And looked up a video here. It is by give me a second, Alan Grace. And gonna just not gonna show you the thing, gonna just show you the evolution of Pixar through the years. And bear with me for just a second. And as we proceed here, it starts off with Toy Story, 1995. And see if you can try and catch the animation of just how things looked. And it all started, this whole movie studio started with toys. And then we were introduced from toys to Bugs Life in 1998. And just the animation, as you probably have seen me praise animation in previous episodes, kind of like Spider-Man's Into the Spider-Verse. Um, then you proceed to Toy Story 2, and they go a little more detail from what I remember. I think this character is Al in 1999, and we get introduced to brand new characters. And then we go into the 2001's Monsters Inc. We get introduced to a new world of monsters. And as you can see, all this is movies take time to make. And overall, something like this is done on computers. Actors voice these characters. And then we go from toys, bugs, monsters to the ocean, to the sea, for that matter, in Finding Nemo in 2003. And overall, it's another very well done film in animation. Just the detail, even in the water. Then we go into superheroes, their take on superheroes in The Incredibles, but this time a family. And I would say easily in my top list of Pixar films. Once again, for my movie fanatics, here we go into Cars in 2006. And then it ends up going into just different worlds, and all this is done on computer. And as it proceeds, it's just showing just different worlds. Then we go to more of a humanistic world, but in Paris, France, with mice, or rats for that matter, in Ratatouille 2007. And I just kind of praise this form of art, because if you have a talent for doing stuff like this, by all means, go pursue it, just like in this movie. Then we proceed into 2008's Wall-E. And I'm going to just kind of proceed things here a little bit. And that movie starts off with no voice acting, just a lot of sounds. And keep an eye out on future episodes. Then we go into Up. First, as some of you have seen this movie, the first 10 minutes of this movie are something you would have least expected. No spoilers. And once again, just animation style continues to change and improve back from 1995 to 2009. Then we proceed to the toys are back in town again for the third time in Toy Story 3. And even just the detail, even in more toys overall. And it's one of those, it's a very well done film. And then Cars 2, 2011. We go back into the Cars world, but they tried their hands on the spy-esque genre. And overall, kind of like a James Bond style, but I'll give my thoughts on a little bit of the Cars films overall. Then Brave, showing just not just a new Disney female hero, a Disney princess in a new culture setting and style. This is in 2012 already. And overall, then we get more of a prequel from Monsters Inc. into Monsters University. And still the style of the original characters, but showing them in a lot younger sense, voiced by Billy Crystal and John Goodman. And obviously, they don't have to show their age. Their age is done here in more or less of that style. And then we go to a different place of so many different worlds from Inside Out. And who's to know you would get a film about describing your own emotions, happiness, anger, happiness or joy, anger, sadness, worrisome, annoying. I think I might be wrong. It's been a while that I've seen the film, but very good film. And this one I kind of missed, and it got the mixed reception due to just the story arc and what it was, but animation is totally different here for The Good Dinosaur in 2015. And it's just Pixar trying to, you go from their trilogy sequels to go into new ideas, then back to another characters in Finding Dory, the sequel. And this is another one as well, just showing different characters, style, and animation. So let's see. As it's going through the list here. Then we go into Cars 3 as this franchise hits its trilogy. And I as I'm trying to remember, I'm gonna have to go through a binge watch of each of the franchise. And Coco in 2017. I'll give my thoughts on this film as well, and where it ranks amongst my list. And throughout all these movies, as I'll go into a little more in depth, and then we get The Incredibles 2, 2018, as Mr. Incredible gets his time in the first one. Elastigirl, I believe. They just played this on TV the other day. Gets her moment in the story arc changes, and then as we thought it might have ended in Toy Story 3, They came back once again in Toy Story 4 in 2019. And then, as it's one of those where this Toy Story franchise is definitely a generational thing. I have cousins and and friends who have now showed it to younger generation. Then onward, a very well done film, especially the story about family and a brother sibling relationship, friendship, and all, and just a different take on a fantasy style story. Then they proceed to going in with Soul, which was an interesting idea and an interesting style. And if you're able to see the way they do the detail, even on this, it's just so interesting. And the animation and just technology has improved. And you had Luca in 2021, which doesn't even seem that far, even though we're already in 2023. Then, as things continue, I think we're coming to the end of our. We have one more film after that. And once again, showing the world, and then Turning Red, which is I would say, a very heartfelt movie about friendship, family, as all these films have done thus far. So as we go to the end here, I'm gonna go ahead and remove it. As you saw the evolution of the Pixar films, that's pretty much how it's done thus far. And I'm gonna just kind of talk about it here, and then give you my rankings. So as we continue on, let's talk about Pixar movies. And Pixar, behind the scenes, was a division under Lucasfilm. And for those who don't know Lucasfilm, that is the studio or production studio that created Star Wars. And it was also under a share ownership under former Apple C founder Steve Jobs. They'd done also behind the scenes of like animation and productions like Star Trek II Wrath of Khan and other special effects with Lucasfilm. Pixar was also known for doing a lot of short films. And if you happen to notice the past several years, or just check when you watch Pixar movies, they do a lot of short films before you watch the actual film. And some of them have been different, and they've still been released to this day. And slowly, once Pixar started to gain its momentum, it gained a partnership with Disney. And once it gained a partnership with Disney, the movie started kicking up left and right. And for all my Disney fans out there, or theme park enthusiasts, they Pixar would then later gain partnerships with the Disney theme parks, either in Florida, California. They built Cars Land in California. There was a Bugs Life area. Now they have Pixar Pier at Disney California Adventure. They now have Toy Story Land in Orlando, Florida. They've added Pixar themed areas to the other Disney parks as well. And so Pixar has gained that partnership and trust with Disney. And as we continue here, as we continue, as you saw the list of the films, as you saw the list of the films here, let me remove myself. And then Cars, Ratatouille, Wally, It didn't show Lightyear, which was also a part of the films itself. And overall, it just goes to show how much they've made in films. And so, as you saw the list of all the movies here, I'm going to try and minimize myself. The 27th film that has been released thus far is Elemental. At the time of this recording, has already come out. It has received its praise. I've heard, I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard it is a very well done film. It's not. It has a 76 on Rotten Tomatoes. 92% on Fandango. It's a 7 out of 10 on IDBM. So it's gained its audience attention, but I heard that overall the audience loves it. The critics, I'm not a professional by any means, just a fan of film, and overall something as a generational thing that families will enjoy. So kind of let me see if I can okay. What for me, and this might be different from all of you, what draws you all in to Pixar movies? As I referenced before, Pixar has been a part of my life since the first Toy Story film, and now as I hear that um people my age to right now are showing it to their children or their nieces and nephews or young cousins, and kids are continue to be shown and seeing all these films, the main characters have become relatable, or even the secondary characters have become relatable to you in some form or fashion. You like characters like Woody, Buzz, Lightning McQueen, Mater, um, any of the characters overall that have come out, Wally, Remy from Ratatouille, Rex, even the aliens, just any of them, they become relatable to you. Creating, as you saw that video I showed you, all the vast majority of the worlds and details, and bringing the immersion into what makes these movies great for all generations that have just that inner child, as you can kind of see that the Mr. Fredrickson when he was younger, the image as he's watching our inner child for us older folks, or is just we're immersed in all these worlds and the fascination of what has brought us into these worlds, and these animated worlds that is just so fascinating to see and just leaves you in awe. And for me, I'll tell you in a second, I've laughed at these movies. I've been sad. I've been sad in the sense I've cried, and just moments that are heartfelt and that leave that lasting impression on you, because animated movies is a form of media and film that draws in anybody that it's a story about them, and all these stories have been about them, and it's just been a fascinating thing to watch and see, and know that it just keeps growing and growing, and you can just look as the podcast goes, films about the past, the current, present, and I know that Pixar's far from over, and I believe they have movies on the horizon. I don't know exactly what. I'd have to look it up, but I've just been in awe, and it's been a part of my childhood that one day when I'll show my children these movies and things like that. So let's proceed. Oh, as before I show my list, and I'm gonna go from my 10 to 6, and then give you my 5 to 1. So I'm going to remove this here, and I'm going to give you my top 10 Pixar films. Before I started this video, I had to think about it a little bit. I'm going to read a list I've written down right here. At number 10, The Incredibles 2. At number 9, Up. 8, Wally. 7, Monsters Inc. 6, Finding Nemo. So those are from 6 to 10. And now I'm going to show you my top 5 Pixar films and just go in a little bit of detail into why exactly. And let me minimize myself. As you see here, my top Pixar films at number 5, Ratatouille. Number 4, Toy Story. Number 3, The Incredibles. Number 2, Coco. And at number 1, Toy Story 3. And let me start at 5. At first, I wasn't going to give Ratatouille that high of a platform or rating, but kind of looking back on the film and the meaning behind it, it serves obviously in the purpose of, yes, it's a story about a mouse wanting to become a chef. And obviously, the moral of the story is no matter who you are in life, um, no matter who you are in life, be who you want to be. You want to be a chef? Go be a chef, a doctor, a teacher, anything in life. Just because you're the size you are, go do what it is that you want to do in life. I have dreams and goals of becoming something. You probably do too. Don't give up just because of the size of who you are. And Toy Story is one of those, like I said, the first one, it's a part of my childhood. As I referenced it in the beginning of, it's the movie that started it all. And it's definitely a generational that I hear from different people and that they've shown their kids nowadays. And it's going to be one of those that will last a lifetime down the road, especially. And it introduced the world of what do toys do when we're not around. And it holds a special place in my heart. And The Incredibles is definitely a story about family and Disney's take on a family about superheroes. And it's one of those where it's trying to fit in, doing what's best for your family, feeling kind of like straying away, and the ups and downs of what families have to deal with, but added in the sprinkle of having superpowers. And I would definitely say it is one of those that was, I'd say, a very enjoyable film and gets talked about a lot. And I hear on the interwebs that the director of this film should try to do a live action version of The Incredibles because when you hear the term live action version from Disney, this involves humans, animated humans for that matter, and it ends up being more or less of the take on superheroes. And yes, we know that there's superhero films from A to Z from the past, the present, and currently right now. But let's see what would it take to see all those those 5 characters there in live action. And at number 2, Coco. This film, this was one of the films that I saw twice within the time span of a month, I remember. And it's personal in the sense of, as a Mexican American, Hispanic, Latino, um, who knows of the day of Dia de los Muertos. And it's a day where we remember the family members who have passed. And for a Pixar movie to share something like that of that culture or showing that to the world, it was very touching, heartwarming, and it just led to experience of knowing that we also let me go back, we cherish every moment we have with our family, and unfortunately in our time in our life we lose our friends and family of passing, but we're always going to remember them, hence the song. And also a story about following your dreams and knowing that your family just wants what's best for you. Another story about family, especially in the Hispanic culture. We have large families who just care about you and want you to want you to they want to know, they want to do what's best for you. And sometimes they think that you should go this way, but you want to go this way. And just know that they'll always be by your side. And it's definitely one of those that, oh, it tug on the heartstrings. And even just thinking about it, it's definitely it's a very well done film. That's why I give it the high praise at my number 2. And at number 3 is Toy Story 3. And before they released Toy Story 4, I enjoyed Toy Story 4. Very well done film. Got emotional. No spoilers here, especially the ending, but thinking that the Toy Story film was going to end the way it ended, it basically gave in the sense of, okay, this is where we'll say farewell to our characters, our favorite characters since the very first 1995 animated film. And we've gained that relationship for that 3 arc film, and especially the relationship with the main toys with Andy. I'll leave it at that. If you haven't seen the movies, because like I said, animated films might not be your cup of tea, or maybe it is. And you let me know, am I nuts for uh putting this in my top 5, or you saw my 6 through, or you heard my 6 through 10. You let me know what is on your list. And as I end the slide here, um how do you rank them? What are your all's thoughts of the Pixar films themselves, as they just the vast storytelling? All these characters are generational. Obviously, you see it with through the partnership of Disney and just the storytelling and within themselves, and just overall a very well done made studio, to where I don't have any gripes against, like I said, all the other Pixar films. I'm not saying they're terrible. They're all enjoyable, but to a like they're okay. I wouldn't revisit them, or maybe to some of you, you might revisit them more than the list that I gave you. That's why watching movies overall is subjective. You might have a list, or you might have a take on how you perceive all these movies, um and how it's can become a part of your childhood, or your children's, or your nieces and nephews, young cousins lives. And basically just the take of what all just the storytelling and overall sense of wonder that Pixar has done for 30 plus years, almost 30 plus years. And it's definitely a animated movie studio that I've enjoyed. I'll revisit, and I'll continue to watch many of these upcoming films. So That was it, guys, for this episode of the AMS podcast discussing things about films past, present, and future. I am been your host, Adrian Michael Soto. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye for now.